Okay, welcome to another episode of A Beer with Atlas. I'm Rich.
I'm Brian.
And Brian, I'm going to let you introduce this one because this was your idea. The second episode of our Christmas beers.
Yeah, this is something that I'm passionate about. Not necessarily this beer, but beer in general, right? And then the holiday season, oh man, I cannot get enough.
Yeah?
I've been playing Christmas music since about Easter. I just love it. So this time of year is like my favorite.
Where's that come from?
How deep do you want to go? You want to get all Mark Maron on it or whatever? But it comes from some of my happiest lifetime memories as a kid around Christmas time.
Nice.
So I've been pulling that through the rest of my life, trying to catch the tiger's tail, which is Christmas trees, lights, the smells, the sounds, all that stuff. Just makes me happy.
I love it.
So that's where I like to live. That's why I have a whole bunch of displays on my desk right now currently.
You do?
So we're going to get into this beer. It's Shiner Holiday Cheer. This is the 8th year, I believe, that they've made it. I don't think they've changed the recipe at all. So if you've had it before, you're going to pretty much know what it tastes like. Mm-hmm. It's different in the fact that it's not a spiced holiday beer.
Oh, good.
Which are like some of the ones that are out there, and either you kind of like them or you don't. But we're going to get into this one, and we'll talk a little bit about it. And
all right.
Why I picked it and all that sort of stuff.
That's my one. Like, I really, really enjoy a good Oktoberfest.
Yeah.
I am kind of ambivalent towards holiday beers because of the spiced part.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not.
So this one doesn't have any of that.
Okay.
But it does have. You can probably smell it.
This looks like cream soda.
Have you had this before?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Well, cheers to that.
All right. Now that's fantastic.
So the main thing that you're going to get is peaches.
Yes.
That's basically what this tastes like. And that's the main criticism of this beer, is that it's a one-trick pony or a one-note beer. It's just peach is what most people say.
Why? I don't...
Which is problematic. I don't know why it would be. But the other thing that you're going to get in here on the back end is a little of that roasty nut flavor. And that's supposed to be pecans. So it's peaches and pecans, basically. It's like dessert in a glass. That's what the flavor of this beer is supposed to be.
Yep, absolutely. 100%.
So the reason that I picked this one is because a few years ago, as you do on the internet, I was cruising around.
Surfing the World Wide Web.
Surfing the web. And I hit on their page, and there was a little story about the beer. But then there was like a suggested way to drink it, and I had never seen it before.
Okay.
And I tried it, and it actually was pretty weird and good.
Okay.
And it kind of brought the flavors out a little bit more. So when I thought about what kind of beer can we do, we've kind of talked about some of these styles. I thought about this one for Christmas because it's something that just goes against everything you think about when you drink beer.
Okay.
So we'll get to that once we're done with this. The style of this beer is a Dunkelweizen, which is a dark wheat beer. Roasted malts is what the style is. And then the flavors, the additives or whatever, adjuncts, as we talked about the other day, are added in there to get those peach and pecan flavors. So that's just the basic profile of the beer. It's going to have, a Dunkelweizen normally is going to have like clove and banana smells, like we've kind of talked about those wheat beers, and that's what adds this peach, and pecans kind of rolls it out. So it's a good pair for that.
I'm not a huge fan of that clovey, banana-y, Hefeweizen type of. It's sometimes it's overpowering. Sometimes.
Sure. And I think it kind of is. Well, it's definitely muted in this because the peach is so prominent. But if you don't like peaches, like my wife is not a peach fan, then you don't want to drink this beer. But if you're open to it, then it's pretty good.
Peach could be an overpowering flavor sometimes. There's a couple that I've had. Dry Dock has a peach that is peach. Yeah, it's overpowering. It's too much.
Well, here we go with the secondary.
So I'll talk you guys through this as he did this. So this is weird. Okay, so the first step was probably like 2 fingers, like you would drink like a whiskey or bourbon or something like that in the glass, right?
Yeah.
That was in the little tasters that we have here. Now he's pouring it into glasses with ice, and
this is what I was saying. It goes against everything that you know about beer
This is
is
weird.
that you should never put it on ice, ever.
Maybe you want
A photo of that. Let's get it staged just properly.
to. We get a little picture here for you because this is super duper weird, and I think it needs a photograph.
Needs to be documented.
For those of you that are listening, Jamie is now taking a picture of the beer in ice. Weird.
Yeah. So I ordered this I've ordered this a couple times at bars, and they're like, "What?" But this is how the brewery said to try it, so
Really?
I did, and it tasted pretty good.
So you got to let it get cold in the ice, or let the ice.
It kind of breaks it down just a little bit. It opens up. It's almost the opposite of a stout when it opens up when it's warm. Mm-hmm. It just seems to accentuate some of the flavors a little bit better.
That's bizarre.
So we'll just basically see if it makes a difference or not when you taste it. It should, but
All right, let's give it a shot. What is that?
is that weird?
What is that?
Yeah, I think that the pecans taste comes out a little bit more for me.
All of a sudden, there's almost no peach.
Yeah.
And it's way more nutty, like woody, nutty.
Yeah, it like cuts that peach by a lot. So that's the difference. So that's the only trick of the trade. It just depends on how you like it, but I prefer it actually with not on ice, like which is how the brewery said.
I would like the peach flavor more than.
Yeah.
Not that the nut flavor is offensive. It's
Right.
just wow.
It's just different. But yeah, that's just to show how different it can be in different conditions. I checked again the website today to see if they still said that on there, and they don't. It's nowhere to be found.
I didn't see
it just disappeared in the night.
as I did my research, this did not show up at all. So just to give you a recap, so we did just open the bottle, tried like just a little bit of it, and then Brian poured it into 2 glasses over ice, and the flavor changed completely.
Yeah, you wouldn't even think it's the same.
Nope.
It's the same beer.
I
So,
would have argued that it's a different beer.
yeah. So let's get into the research on Shiner that you've got, and then I've got some stuff to go over as well that's related-ish to this beer.
Awesome. So once again, I think I've fallen in love with another brewery story. This one started in 1909.
That's pretty old.
Which is it's super old, by far the oldest one we've talked about yet.
Yeah.
Shiner is not the name of the brewery. The brewery is actually called Spoetzl,
Okay.
which is named after Cosmo Spoetzl, who was their first brewmaster. Born in Bavaria, and then eventually immigrated to the United States from Egypt. So born in Bavaria, moved to Egypt, and then immigrated to the United States. He bought the brewery when he moved to Shiner, Texas.
Okay.
Shortly after, when he was in his 20s, when he was younger, and then became the first official brewmaster at Shiner. So they were brewing something there before, but it was, I don't know, a hobby or something.
Sure.
It didn't really say. Shiner, Texas is an interesting place. It was a population of just over 2,000, so it's a tiny little town. Not much at all. Hour and 45 minutes from San Antonio, 2 hours from Houston. So right in between San Antonio and Houston. So if you're at one of those hospitals in either one of those cities,
So it's
this
still
is
2,000 people?
still 2,000
Okay.
people.
Wow.
Yeah. And the brewery, like the head brewmaster does videos for, like, if you go to their website, you can, like, the head brewmaster's like their MC, like their master of ceremonies guy.
Cool.
He is everywhere, and really interesting character. I didn't write his name down, and I should have.
Probably
but
not Cosmo Spoetzl.
not Cosmo Spoetzl. No, but this guy's like the 5th brewmaster. So from 1909 to 2018, they've only had 5 brewmasters.
Wow.
Which is interesting
Yeah.
in and of itself. So yeah, Cosmo worked at Shiner until he died, and then they didn't say what date. And then if you try to Google Cosmo Spoetzl, all you get is just a little bit on Shiner. So there isn't a whole lot of information about him after that.
Yeah.
One of the best videos they have on there is what did Spoetzl Brewery do during Prohibition? And they have like a jug of milk or whatever, and the brewmaster now is like, yeah, we didn't brew beer. And then he's got a big smile on his
Yeah.
face, right? So I mean, they brewed all the way through Prohibition. Like, who was going to mess with little town in Texas?
Southern Texas, probably, or
Right.
something, I assume.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think they were too worried about that.
Yeah. So
Some breweries, like Budweiser and stuff, I know, like, just bottled water.
yeah.
and like sent it to the troops or whatever. Like that was their cover and stuff.
And, like seltzer water
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And they did juices and things. So in 2017, they shipped 6 million cases of beer. Little tiny Shiner, Texas brewery shipped 6 million cases of beer.
That's a lot of beer.
And as far as I can tell, they have nationwide distribution too. So it's not like one of these, you can only get it if you live in the South. Like it's widely available here. Check your local, grocery store, tap houses. You're gonna find Shiner.
Shiner Bock is the first time I ever heard of a Shiner.
Yes.
And I thought that was just the style of beer. Like that was way back before I was into any sort of craft brew stuff. And that was pretty regularly like available. Most places will have it. So
Yep.
they've, I don't know, they probably make 20 different beers, I would bet.
They had, let's see, if I looked on it, there's like 15 different on tap right now in their tap house.
Cool.
There. So, yeah, that's the very limited information on Shiner. The next time I'm anywhere close to Houston or San Antonio, it's worth the 2-hour drive to get there. And
it's kind of a cool story, and just to see how old it's been.
Yeah.
Because there's only a couple that I can think of that have been around older, and we'll eventually get to those. But, it's kind of a cool story.
Yeah.
So here's the angle I went on this, and because I knew what the flavor was going to change to, I focused on pecans.
Okay.
So our research today is going to be based on pecans.
I like it.
And the other thing that I wanted to touch on just real quickly, which I thought was fitting, was somebody online called this a Christmas porch beer. So if you're in the South and it's not that cold, but you can still be outside, but it's like 50.
Yep.
This would be a porch beer for Christmas time if you're down in the South.
So it's not like a lawn mowing beer.
No.
It's a porch beer.
It's a porch beer, but it's, holiday time, but you don't want to be too cold to stand outside and drink it. So it's like a southern U.S. thing, which ties with where pecan trees are found. So if they have not been planted on purpose, right, if they're just naturally growing, it's basically Texas, and then they creep on over. A lot of them are in Louisiana, goes up to Oklahoma, Arkansas, kind of follows Mississippi River Valley. So Missouri, Illinois, and Indiana are really the main places that they just show up.
Okay.
And then they've been planted in places like Georgia, New Mexico, I think Florida and Alabama too. But that's the main states that they are at. Pecan, which I feel like we're saying it right?
Not pecan.
Pecan. There's also a couple other, I saw that there's a couple other, even English people say it a different way, but it's regionally pronounced. But we go with pecan.
Pecan.
But I think down south it's like pecan pie.
Pecan.
Pecan sandies or whatever cookies have
Oh,
pecans.
I love
in.
me a good pecan sandy.
Right? And they had an ice cream that was pretty good.
Really?
Yeah. Yum. Anyway, the pecan is actually not a nut as we consider it.
What?
It is something that is called a drupe, D-R-U-P-E. And Dolan knows all about this probably, but it's actually a fruit with a pit. And it has skin around it. Oh. So that's the designation.
Like a date?
Yeah, I guess, or like an apricot or whatever. It's like in that same sort of fruit with a core. And the other thing that they talk about it falls in this category because you need something to crack it open, like the nut to get the actual thing out because it's in like a case or a shell. So if it needs a stone or something that they would designate that, then that falls in this category because you have to use something else to open it to get to that thing.
Okay.
So it's not like you can bite into it like a peach or an apricot or whatever.
Understood.
So you have to like break it to get to that thing that is inside. So that's the science-y definition of that. It is one of the most recently domesticated crops in the whole world. Only in the 1880s did people actually start like farming and picking these up and collecting them and doing something with them for agricultural reason, not just for like, hey, I like these and they're on my farm.
Right.
So like they're actually producing and growing these on purpose, and that didn't happen until like 1882.
Weird.
Which seems pretty late as far as like people have been growing corn and wheat and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So I thought that was neat. Texas is a big player. In 2014, United States wide, there was 264.2 million pounds of pecans harvested. Wow. Which I don't know if does that seem like a lot for one crop? I don't know.
Well, when you figured, yeah.
I don't know. It's probably a whole bunch.
I mean, how much does one pecan weigh?
I don't know, ounce, not even.
Not even? So then that would be a ton.
And they said, like, I saw online, they were comparing if you got like a 10-ounce cup or something of just the actual meat of the pecan, you get your whole daily allotment of protein and one other sort of like fat, like a healthy fat in your diet. They're very high in that.
Huh.
High in fiber, protein, iron, and B vitamins. The first time they were introduced into Europe was in the 1500s when explorers from Spain came through down in Louisiana
Okay.
and it would be Texas, I guess.
Okay. Old Ponce de Leon looking for the
Fountain of Youth.
Fountain of Youth.
Found pecans
They
instead.
found pecans instead.
Took them back to the king and queen of Spain, and then they started growing them there as well.
Okay.
George Washington, Thomas Jefferson. Heard of those dudes?
Oh,
Big pecan fans.
really?
TJ, I call him TJ.
Yeah.
He grew some on his famous little farm there, Monticello, and he gave them to George Washington, and he liked them, and so he grew some on his place too.
Oh, TJ liked a lot of different things.
He was into a lot of things, you know?
Yep.
He's like the Mark Cuban of the 1700s.
I was going to go a different direction than that, but if you want to look up some interesting history, old Thomas Jefferson.
TJ.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I know about him.
Yep. He had some
got a history
interesting characteristics to that fella.
Yeah, he had a lot of that. Oh, and pecan wood. Big in the old barbecue circuit.
Yes.
Smoking with it. It's a big fruit wood, they say, or something like that. So it's hard. So it takes a long time to like burn through it. So it lasts long, has a good heat temperature. Like it takes a lot of heat before it breaks down so that you can't use it so much. So it's used in a lot of smoking and barbecue stuff. So that's pretty much what I know.
That's
about pecans I didn't know before.
Okay, so help me with the brewery side, with the brewing side. Then, like, how does I get how like fruit flavors would transfer during the boil during the process. Is it the same for a nut?
I think
or
it pretty much would be. It's the oils is what you're really getting.
Okay,
so like like when you roast peanuts or pecans or whatever, it gives out that oil and that's really what you're getting. I think for the most part, most places that are making anything that has to do with a nut, like a peanut stout or something, peanut butter, I'm going to guess, and this might even be, but they definitely use some sort of an extract to like cut down that, because that would be very labor intensive to like be sitting there roasting tons of pecans to make this. I don't know this exact sales numbers, but I have a feel like this is probably one of their bigger selling beers, just because it's kind of an annual, at least for now, the last few years, it's been an annual event. This comes out, and it's like Christmas time.
It's Christmas time.
It's one of the first ones to hit the store.
Kind of like Sam Adams Oktoberfest, right? It's going to be fall when you see Oktoberfest on the shelves. So here's a brew, Bavarian style dark wheat. I'm reading the label here. Just for you, enjoy the gift of holiday cheer. Every drop of Shiner Spoetzl Brewery is brewed in Shiner, Texas. That's the other thing, too, is I picked up off their website, is that's 100% true. They do not brew Shiner anywhere else except for this brewery in Shiner, Texas.
That's cool.
That 6 million cases.
And that's, they say something about the water, right? Like, is there like the Shiner Creek or something that's like supposed to be really good water, and that's why the town was founded there. And that's why the beer tastes so good.
The artesian? Am I saying that
Artisanal?
right?
Artisanal well? I don't know. It's
that means
dry now.
Delicious water in rich
Portuguese.
speak, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah, it does mean, and they've been using the same water since 1909. Yes, you're 100% right. It means delicious beer.
I would like to talk to, like Bobby or somebody could tell us this, Bobby, from Cross Strain. In Nebraska, there's, the aquifer, right? Yeah. The underground water.
Ogallala.
And it costs, people can brew with it. Like, you can get it as a brewery, but it costs like a bunch of money.
Okay.
And I want to know, and maybe somebody down in Boiler or somebody else could answer this for us, but like, how do they get it? How much does it cost? Why would you do or don't use it?
Right.
Because like most places are, I'm assuming, either filtering it or using like some sort of thing to take off the city's water.
Yep.
Because they're not just going to turn the tap on and put that in a beer
and dump it in.
I know when we do some homebrew stuff, like we go and get like specially filtered water, and then we add some stuff to it too. We're not just pouring it out of the kitchen faucet. So
What about those guys out of Kincaid? They just drilling a hole in the ground.
That's what I'm
and-
wondering,
and
like-
sucking right out of the
Yeah.
because
you have to have water rights. I mean, it's just like farming, so you have to have some sort of. I don't know. This is opened a can of worms for me. I'm gonna have to find out, but I
would
wonder
love-
if anybody's made beer with it, and if it's so, how did they do it?
I'd love to nerd out and have like a brewmaster from one of those places on with
Yeah.
us. That would be a lot of fun.
We'd have to come up with like a whole bunch of questions, and
Oh, I could write some questions.
yeah, maybe give them ahead of time so they could find out
Yep.
if they don't know. And I think we might know one or two. We could probably get somebody.
I'm
to
sure we
come
could
in.
get somebody.
Yeah,
Bobby, Scott.
yeah,
Maybe.
anybody like that. Yeah.
I want to as we continue on through our holiday. I do want to do another cross strain, the cross strain Mele Kalikimaha, which is their version of a winter ale,
Yeah.
Christmas ale.
That one's more of a traditional style.
It is way more traditional. I would love to talk to them about that to understand kind of their why they made the choices that they did. Mm-hmm. Why this flavor over this flavor type of thing.
I would like to know this. I mean, I know the story of the label, like what it's all representing.
Yep.
But I would like to know the process of how that came to be, and that would be an interesting conversation for me.
I'm gonna work on that. Let me see.
All right.
Let me see if I
pull
can
some strings.
Let me see. I may know somebody.
All right.
Maybe.
I can stop in too if we need to.
Oh, I would definitely want you here.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
All right.
Awesome. Well, Brian, thank you. This was. I like this.
Yeah, It's weird. I wouldn't tell anybody you did it this way, but
I don't
whatever.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to experience something different, and
Yeah.
if you want the bartender to look at you
Oh, for sure.
with a crook eye,
Yep.
maybe ask for a glass of ice and try it this way.
Yeah, I mean, drink half of it one way and then pour it the other, or vice versa, however you want to do it. But it definitely changes the flavor, and it's just something interesting and kind of like a little party trick that I learned. So I thought I'd share with you.
I think it's a lot of fun. So awesome. Well, next week we're going to take a slight break from our Christmas beers, and
We got to watch our figures, Rich.
That's true.
These Christmas beers can be high in calories.
They can, yeah. So we're going to do one from South Dakota. One of our recruiters from South Dakota is going to bring us a couple beers from Crow Peak Brewing. So we're going to try a couple beers that we have not tried before.
Styles we haven't tried.
Yeah.
Definitely, both of the beers that we've looked at, I have never had in my life. So I'm interested to see how those go too.
It will be completely different for both of us. So I'm looking forward to it. So
Cool.
Thank you again, Brian, and we'll see you next week.
Sounds good. Thanks, Rich.